Okay, so this is a block diagram for the thermobalance. Mhm. So what we require in the instrumentation, we require a first part recording balance. So here you can observe there is a recording balance is present. It is useful for the recording the weight of the sample every time during the process. Then we require second part, that is the sample holder. This is the sample holder in which we have kept the sample, and this sample holder is attached with the recording balance. So the sample weight, if changes, it can be easily determined by the recording balance. Then furnace for the heating. Okay, so this is the furnace. So this is the furnace which is required for the heating the sample. Then it requires programmer or controller. So here there is a presence of furnace temperature programmer inside the furnace, as well as there is a presence of temperature sensor in the sample holder. And finally we require a recorder. Here it is recorder is present, which is useful for recording the changes which takes place during the reaction or during the process. So this is the block diagram for the thermobalance. So the thermogravimetry apparatus, it is also called as the thermobalance. Now we move to the next part. It consists of a microbalance. It is one of the components of the thermobalance. It is useful for the recording a small changes in the weight takes place, or the weight of the sample or the substance takes place. So the balance means to measure the weight. Micro means very micro changes if takes place during the reaction, or the micro changes in the weight of sample takes place. So if it is recorded, it can be recorded with the help of micro balance. Then what are the ideal properties of the micro balance? It should provide an electronic signal to the record the changes in mass. Okay, so it should provide signals to record the change in the mass. Second one, it having the capacity to take the atom weight. Means without keeping a sample into the that weighing machine, with the help of sensor, it should take the weight of the sample. It should be user friendly, and any vibration or any other things, it should not affect the air, the environment. It should not affect the balance or the micro balance to take the appropriate weight. So these are the properties of the micro balance. Second one, recorder balance. There are two types of recorder balance. One is the deflection balance, second one is the null point balance. In case of deflection balance, it may be of beam type, helical type, cantilevered beam, or torsional wires. So recorder balance, there are two types, one which having the deflections, second one which having the null point balance. So deflection balance, what is deflection balance? So in the deflection balance, the conversion of deflected beam takes place into the weight changes. So beam असतं, तर त्याच्यामध्ये हे जे आहे ते मूव्ह होत राहतं डिपेंडिंग अपॉन द चेंजेस इन द weight. So in this balance, elongation or contraction of spring occurs with the change in weight, and it is recorded by the transducer. And in this beam is attached to the hard torsional wire, which act as a fulcrum. And another end of this beam is fixed on another end. There is a sample is placed. So that is the deflection balance. The second type of balance is the null point balance. It consists of the sensor which detects the deviation from the null point and restore the balance to its original position on null point by means of the restoring forces. Okay, so these are the two types of deflection. The deflect होना, it may be beam type, helical type, cantilever beam, or torsional wire. And second one, that is the null point balance, in which there is a sensor is present which detects any changes in the weight from the null point, and again it brings it to the null point due to the restoring forces. Next one is the sample holder. So what is sample holder? It is the part in which we are keeping our sample. It may be a crucible, or you can say it is the sample holder. It is attached to the weighing part of or weighing arm of the microbalance. Okay, so these sample holders can be a shallow pans, it can be a crucible, it can be a loosely covered crucibles or the cups. Generally, they are made up of, as I have told, from platinum, aluminum, quartz, or aluminum. Some they may be made up of graphite, stainless steel, as well as the glass. Next part is the furnace, which is provide the heat to the sample. So it is designed such a way that it should produce the linear heating rate. It should not produce a random heating. It should provide a control manner, or it should provide a heat in a linear manner. It should have a hot zone which can hold the sample and its crucible, and which having the temperature corresponds to the temperature of furnace. Next part, that is the temperature ranges can affect the internal atmosphere of furnace chamber. So if necessary, we have to choose a surf furnace according to the change in the temperature, or depending upon the range of the temperature. Then the coil which are present in the furnace, they are made up of nichrome wire or ribbon, platinum, or the platinum with 10% rhodium alloy. Finally, it having the recorder which records the things. The recording system mainly consists of two types: the time-based potentiometer or XY recorder. So XY recorder giving the curve having the plots of weight directly against the temperature. So here change in the weight against temperature we are getting the graph. But the percentage mass change against the temperature at time should be more useful. So that is the recorder which is useful for the recording the changes in the mass against the temperature at the time takes place. Then we have to control the rate of heating which is coming from the furnace. So the rate of temperature increases, then quoted in the degree per minute. The heating or the cooling rate is should be controlled or maintained constant when the temperature time curve is linear. And the time measurement, so it is done by the thermocouple. Thermocouple is useful for the measurement of time. Then we are moving to the next part. It is the factors affecting the thermogram curve. So we are getting the thermogram when we are hitting the sample in the furnace. And after hitting the sample in the furnace, the weight of the sample decreases. So we are getting a thermogram. That is the mass or the delta time against the time or temperature. Okay, so there are some factors which can affect the thermogram or the thermogrammetric curve. So there are these factors, they are classified into two types. One is the instrumental factor, second one is the sample property or the sample character. So in case of instrumental factors, the factor which affect the thermogram curve is the furnace heating rate and the atmosphere. So we have already told that we are heating the sample in a environment. So this environment may be the air, oxygen, or any inner gases like nitrogen, argon, etc. That can also affect the TG curve. Second one, that is the sample character. It includes the weight of sample and the particle size of the sample. So these are some factors which can affect the thermographic curve. Okay, so the first factor, that is the instrumental factor, it is classified into furnace and the furnace atmosphere. So heating rate, the temperature at which the compound decomposes depends upon its heating rate. So if the sample is heating at a high temperature, so the decomposition temperature also becomes high. Or if we are heating the sample at low temperature, then the decomposition temperature becomes low. So generally the heating rate It's kept that is the 3.5 degrees Celsius per minute, which is reliable as well as the reproducible. So this decomposition temperature is depending upon the heating rate. So this heating rate or the furnace heating rate can be changed. So it is generally 3.5 degrees Celsius per minute. Then second factor, that is the furnace atmosphere. So inside the furnace, if there is air or oxygen is present, so they are not inert. If they are present, they can be interfere with the sample. But if we keep the internal environment as a inert, so pure nitrogen gas can be utilized as a environment or as the atmosphere which is present in the furnace, which is the inert gas. So this gas from a cylinder passed through a furnace, it provides the inert atmosphere. So we can keep, instead of air or oxygen, we can go for the nitrogen gas, which provide the inertness. So there is a no reaction between these gases with the sample. So these are the two factors which comes under the instrumental factor. Next factor which affect the thermogravimetric curve, that is the sample characteristics, that is the weight of sample and the particle size of sample. Generally, in the thermogravimetry, we are using the sample with a small weight because this small weight eliminates the existence of temperature gradient throughout the sample. That's why we are generally recommended a sample with a small weight. Second part, that is the particle size of sample. The particle size of sample should be small and uniform, because if it having the large particle size or there is a not uniformness in the particle size, so it may results in the very rapid loss. Suppose if crystals are present, so during heating it undergo very rapid weight loss. Also the apparent weight loss. That's why we require a particle size which is a very small particle size along with its uniformity. So one particle and another particle, their size must be the nearly same. It should not be the change in the size of the samples. Okay, so these are the factors which affect the graph of thermogravimetry or the curve of thermogravimetry. Next part, what are the applications of thermogravimetry analysis? So with the help of this analysis, we can determine the purity and the stability of primary as well as the secondary standard. So purity means we can, with the help of a reference, we can refer a graph. Suppose calcium oxalate. So our unknown sample, if calcium oxalate, we can compare a graph with the standard graph of the calcium oxalate. So from that we can come to know that the given sample is pure or it having the thermal stability. So that can be determined. So purity as well as the thermal stability can be determined. Second way is that we can determine the composition of complex mixture and decomposition of complex. If a mixture is present, we can find out which compounds are there in the mixture or which compounds can be present in the mixture. So that composition can be found out. If calcium carbonate and silver nitrate is there, so they are getting the two different curves, thermogravimetric curves. So from that, by comparing with the standard, we can come to know that the given sample or the given mixture, they consist of two samples, that is the silver nitrate and calcium oxide. So like this, we can determine the composition as well as the decomposition pattern of the complex or the mixture. We can study the sublimation behavior of various substances. It is also used for the study of kinetics of reaction rate constant. It can be also used in the study of catalyst. So the change in the chemical state of the catalyst can be studied by using this technique. Generally, we can study the zinc zinc chromate catalyst which is used in the synthesis of methanol. Okay, so these are the different applications of thermogravimetry analysis. Now we are moving to the next part, that is the instrumentation of differential scanning colorimeter. Okay, so in case of differential scanning colorimeter, in which we are measuring the difference between reference and sample material, provided we have providing the similar kind of atmosphere and similar kind of temperature. Okay, so we have different types of DSC, that is there are two types of DSC. Okay, so we will go for the instrumentation of DSC, that is the common DSC what we are using. So generally the instrument in the DSC, it consists of sample and reference. So sample and reference we are keeping in the container. Then here we are observing there is a part, that part is called as heaters. So providing the heat we requires heater. Okay, then there is a presence of thermocouples 1 and 2. There are two thermocouples. So these two thermocouples, they are responsible to measure the temperature difference between the sample and reference. Then there is a amplifier. So this amplifier, if any weak signals are there, so amplifier is responsible to increase the signals. So that is called as the amplifier. So this is how the instrumentation of the DSC takes place. So it consists of, or the instrumentation consists of a sample holder or a reference holder assembly. Okay, so to hold the sample, there is a sample holder is present. To hold the reference, there is a holder reference. So there are sample is there, reference is there. So second one, there is a furnace is required. It is also called as the heater. So this furnace or heater is required to produce the heat to the sample and reference. Then it requires a sensor, suitable sensor. So this sensor is responsible to analyze the difference between the temperature of sample and reference. That is the temperature difference between sample and reference, it should be known. Okay, so for that we require a heating sensor. That heating sensor is called as the thermocouple. You can also, it is called as the heat sensor. Okay, so these heat sensor or thermocouples, they are present here below the sample and below the reference. So these thermocouples are attached to the sample and reference to the wire. So these are the wires which are present. Okay, so they are attached to the amplifier. If any weak signal is there, so the function of amplifier to amplify this weak, weak signal. Okay, the next part is the recorder. It is a temperature recorder, that is the heat flux recording. So for results we require this kind of the recorder. So they are giving the recorders in the form of the graph. So how the graph is takes place, so depending upon the exothermic or endothermic reaction, that we come to know through this recorder. How much amount of heat is absorbed, released, is it endothermic, exothermic. So all this can be done with the help of, in the form of data we are getting from the recorder. Okay, so in this way the instrumentation of the differential scanning calorimetry takes place. Next part is the types of DSC. Okay, so there are two types of DSC. One is the heat flux DSC. Okay, so first part or the DSC they are divided into two parts. That is the heat flux DSC, and second one power compensation DSC. So there are two types of DSC. That is the heat flux DSC, then power compensation DSC. So these are the two types of DSC. So in case of first type heat flux DSC, so generally this is the instrumentation of the heat flux. So here you are seeing the blue lines. So the blue lines it is the heater, and along with that there is a presence of this part. This part is called as the heat driver. So how much amount of heat we have to provide to the sample and reference, it can be controlled. Okay, so temperature controller is there, and this temperature control can be done with the help of computerized technique. So it is with the help of CPU we can control the this temperature. So driver or CPU, so we are putting the rate of the heat, so that heat can be provided to the sample and reference. So all this provided with the computer. So through heater the heat flows through this part. Okay, so here you can see flowing of heat takes place from outside to the inside. Okay, so it flows through heat one. Here there is a empty space, it is having the atmosphere, or you can say it having the environment. So generally nitrogen. Okay, so it is the inert atmosphere which is provided to the sample and reference. Okay, so here sample and reference heat flux, we have to keep it there temperature difference 0. So after heating the sample due to exothermic or endothermic reaction, we are getting the difference, and that difference is measured with the help of a recorder. And if these signals are weak, they can be amplified with the help of amplifier, and they are converted into the signals or in the form of graph the recording through this recorder. Okay, so here you can see the difference between the heat flux DSC and power compensated differential scanning colorimeter. Okay, so there is only a single heater is there. So this single heater is responsible to heat the sample as well as reference, so that heat flows through it, enters into the sample and reference through the thermocouple. The heat difference is measured. But here there is individual heaters are provided in power compensated DSC, as well as they consist of the individual sensor. They are made up of the platinum. So that is the general difference between the heat flux DSC and power compensated DSC. Okay, so in case of heat flux DSC, the sample holder is made up of platinum, aluminum, or stainless steel. Similarly, in case of power compensated, they are made up of aluminum, platinum, or stainless steel pans. So there are pans are present. Next part is the sensors. It consists of temperature sensors, generally the thermocouple, which are same for the temperature and reference. Here, in case of sensors, they are providing the platinum resistance thermocouple, and the separate sensors are heaters are there for the sample and reference. Here we are sitting, there is a separate heater are there. So if separate heaters are there, they should have the separate thermocouple to measure the temperature difference. So the furnace, there is a one block for the both sample and reference cell. Here there is a separate blocks are present. So here it is only one block is there in which sample and reference is present. Here there is a one block for the sample, another block for the reference is there. Then the temperature between the sample and reference, it is converted into the differential thermal power. which is supplied to the heater to maintain the temperature. Over here, it is maintain the temperature of sample and reference at the program value. Okay, so that is the difference between the heat flux and the power compensated. So the main difference is that they have the separate compartment. In case of power compensated, they have the separate sensors, they have the separate thermocouples, they have separate the heaters. Okay, so that is the main difference between heat flux DSC and power compensated DSC. Now next part, what are the factors which are affecting the differential scanning calorimeter? So the first factor is the instrumental factor, second one is the sample characteristics. So in the instrumental factor, furnace heating rate, how much we are keeping the heating rate for the furnace. Second one, recording or chat speed, furnace atmosphere is there. Then geometry of sample holder, where the sensors are located, that is also responsible for the change in the curve. Then sensitivity of recording system, how sensitive the recording system or the recorder is there, it is also responsible. Then the composition of sample container. So these are the factors, instrumental factors, which are responsible to affect the DSC curve. Second factor, that is the sample characteristics. So how much amount of the sample present, what is the nature of sample, how it is packed, its solubility, then particle size, heat reaction, thermal conductivity. So these are the some different factors which can affect the DSC curve. So totally instrumental factors and the sample characters, they are affecting the DSC curve. In the sample shape or the sample holder which is required in DSC, it is generally a thin. The shape of sample like so that it can cover as much as the bottom of the pan as possible. And for the making the sample thin, we have to cut the sample. फक्त ते क्रश करता कामा नये. Sample फक्त आपल्याला कट करायचं आहे. If sample is pellet shape, cut cross section. If it is powder, spread evenly. And if it having different shapes, so these are the different shapes of the samples. Okay. Then how we can prepare a sample? We have to weigh the sample, generally 3.20 milligram. So small sample pans of inert or treated material are used for the sample preparation. Then several pan configuration can be sealed pans can be used, open pan, pinhole it can be used. Then same material and the configuration should be used for the sample as well as the reference. So the sampleचा जो पॅन असतो किंवा होल्डर असतं ते मटेरियल पण आणि रेफरन्सचं मटेरियल दोन्ही मटेरियल हे सेम असले पाहिजे. It should not be differ. The material should completely cover with the bottom of pan and avoid overfilling of pan to minimize the thermal lag from bulk of material to the sensors. Okay, so these are the different aspects by which we can prepare the sample. Next part of the instrumentation. What are the advantages of using the differential scanning calorimeter? So it can be used at very high temperature. Okay, it is also having the high sensitivity. Then flexibility in the sample volume. Then the form of sample, in which form we have to use the or determine the that DSC or the DSC curve. The characteristic transition or reaction can be determined or the reaction temperature can be determined. Then high resolution can be obtained as it is having the amplifier. It is highly sensitive, so we are giving the accurate result. Then stability of material. So these are some advantages using the DSC. So instrumentation can be having very high temperature. They are highly sensitive. Flexibility of sample volume. Then reaction can be determined, reaction temperature or transition temperature can be determined. It having the high resolution can be obtained, high sensitivity as well as the having high stability of the material. Next one, what are the limitations of differential scanning calorimeter? So generally they are unsuitable for two-phase mixture. Okay, so they are having the two phases, such type of mixture or for the mixture solid liquid, liquid solid, such kind of mixture we cannot determine the DSC curve. So that is the unsuitable for the two-phase mixture. The difficulty in test self-filtration, avoiding the evaporation of volatile solvent. It is generally used for thermal screening of isolated intermediates and products. So for that only we can use the DSC. गॅस जो जनरेट होतो सपोज कॅल्शियम ऑक्झाईड झालं त्यातनं कॅल्शियम सॉरी कार्बन डायऑक्साईड किंवा कार्बन मोनॉक्साईड गॅस जनरेट होतो सो दॅट हाऊ मच अमाऊंट इट इज जनरेटेड इट कॅन नॉट बी डिटरमाइंड विथ द हेल्प ऑफ DSC. The uncertainty of heat of fusion and temperature transitions. Okay, so these are some of the limitations which are present in differential scanning colorimeter. Then what are the factors which can be measured with the help of differential scanning calorimeter? So glass transition temperature that can be checked, the melting and boiling point of substance can be checked or it can be determined with the help of D. Then the time required for the crystallization and the temperature it can be checked. Then percentage how much amount of crystallinity takes place it can be checked with the help of DSC. Then heat of fusions and reaction they can be determined with the help of differential scanning colorimeter. Then oxidative thermal stability can be determined, specific heat capacity can be determined, reaction kinetics and the purity. So these are the different aspects or these are the different measurements we can measure with the help of differential scanning colorimeter. Now I'm going shortly to the next part of the thermal analysis, that is the differential thermal analysis, in which the temperature difference between the sample and inert substance under controlled analytical conditions of heating or cooling is recorded as a function of temperature or time. So heat absorbed or emitted by chemical system is determined. Okay. So if any reaction takes place, then temperature difference will be occur between sample and reference material, as the reference is the inert. So the changes in the sample temperature takes place. So when change in the sample temperature takes place, we will get the difference in the temperature between the sample and the reference. Okay. So instrumentation or the block diagram for the differential thermal analysis. So as we know that differential thermal analysis or any thermal analysis, we require the furnace. Okay. So furnace is there. Then second one, sample and reference holder. Then there must be a attached thermocouple assembly. You can say the heating sensor. Then sample holder furnace to heat the sample. Then the temperature controller or the furnace temperature controller to increase the furnace temperature steadily or in the control manner, as well as the furnace atmosphere control to maintain the suitable atmosphere in the furnace and the sample holder and amplifier. Finally, the recorder is required. This is a block diagram for the differential thermal analysis. Okay, so this is a furnace is present. In furnace there is a sample and reference holder is present. In sample holder you have to keep the sample. In the reference holder we have to keep the reference sample, which is the inner. Okay, so furnace programmer is there. So this furnace programmer we can provide the control heat. So generally it is through a computer or CPU. We have to give the order to the CPU. We have to maintain the temperature and same amount of temperature to this computerized technique. It is provided through furnace programmer to the furnace. Okay. So below the furnace there is a presence of thermocouples or the heating sensor takes place. This heating sensor are attached to the amplifier, and this amplifier and these they are attached to the recorder, and finally we can record the temperature difference between the sample and the reference. So in case of differential thermal, there is a sensor is required to measure the temperature difference between the sample and reference material. The sample and reference they are kept in the surface, in the crucible or in the holder, and the temperature of the furnace and the sample holder is controlled by the furnace controller, or you can say by the furnace programmer. So that is the simple instrumentation technique which is present in the differential thermal sensor. So what we have seen in the differential scanning calorimeter, so similar type of temperature system or the instrumentation system we can observe in case of the differential thermal analysis. Now next part, what are the factors which affect the DT? So always there are two factors which affect the DT. One is the instrumental factor, second one is the characteristic of sample. So instrumental factor again the size of shape of the sample. Okay, then furnace holder, sample holder, reference holder, then material from which the sample holder is made, its corrosion attack, then the furnace heating rate or the sample heating rate. And in case of sample characteristic, the amount of sample used, their weight, and the particle size of the sample. So these are some factors which affect the differential thermal analysis curve. Next, what are the applications of DT? So DT curves for two substances are not identical. Hence, they serve as the fingerprints of various substance. If we are getting the DT curve of calcium oxalate, DT curve of silver nitrate. So DT curve of calcium oxalate is different and DT curve of silver nitrate is different. Okay. So if we have to find out the from the curve which is the that substance, so we can refer the or we can compare the curve with the other identical or the standard curves, and with the help of comparing we can come to know the which substance having this type of DT curve. So DT curve of, for example, calcium oxide is different, silver nitrate is different, calcium hydroxide is different. So if due to this difference, hence they serve as the fingerprints of various substances. Then these DT are used to study the characteristics of polymeric material. Then this technique is used for testing of purity of the drug sample, as well as to check the quality control of the substance like cement, oil, glasses. So that is the important. To check the purity of the sample, we can go for the differential thermal analysis. Then we can use for determination of heat of reaction, specific heat, energy changes during the melting. Okay, so exothermic reaction is there, they have different curve. Endothermic, they have different curve. The heat of reaction, enthalpy, entropy, that we can find out with the help of this DT curve. Then trend in the ligand stability gives information about the ligands in the coordination sphere. Okay, so these are the some important applications of differential thermal analysis.